Okay. Have you ever felt yourself holding back, not because you don't have something meaningful to say, but because you're afraid of how it might be received? Maybe you stop yourself mid-sentence. Maybe you edit your thoughts before they ever leave your mouth. Or maybe you've learned to share just enough, but not too much, because being fully seen feels risky. If you ever felt that, quiet tension inside, that feeling you get inside, that sense of, I want to show up, but I'm afraid it won't be safe, you're not alone. While you live through trauma, emotional, physical, relational, or even subtle lifelong invalidation, visibility can feel like exposure. And it can bring up old memories, old patterns, old instincts, the ones that whisper, if they really see me, they might judge me. Or if I stand out, someone might hurt me. If I show up who I really am, I might lose love, approval, connection. And so you dim your own light. You shrink. You play small, not because you lack confidence, but because your body learned that hiding was safer. Hi, I'm Janine Naus, your grief and trauma relief specialist. And today's healing step session is one that touches so many survivors more than they realize. The fear of being seen, why it shows up, how it silently shapes your relationships, your voice, your self-worth, and how you can begin reclaiming safety in your own presence again. If you've ever felt invisible on purpose, if blending in has become your protection strategy, or if you're exhausted from trying to be small, take a small, gentle breath with me. So let's inhale together and then go ahead and exhale. Because today, we're not forcing visibility. We're simply creating a space where your nervous system can soften and where being seen begins to feel like a possibility, not a threat. So let's go ahead and begin. When visibility once led to pain, criticism, rejection, betrayal, punishment, abandonment, your nervous system doesn't forget. Even if your mind knows you're safe today, your body may still believe that being seen equals being in danger. And this is because trauma teaches the body to associate exposure with harm, to be quiet, to stay small, to not draw attention, to protect yourself through invisibility. So when you imagine speaking up or expressing a need or sharing an opinion or even letting someone see your emotions, your body reacts as if you're walking right back into the moment where things once went wrong. And here's the part that most people never realize. Your nervous system isn't trying to sabotage you, it's trying to protect you in the only way it knows how. So for trauma survivors, being seen isn't just a a social moment, it's a survival moment. And it's a moment the body treats with caution, vigilance, and readiness. And this is why you might second guess your words, why you check people's reactions, why sharing your truth feels vulnerable, even with safe people, why you keep parts of yourself hidden, even from those you trust. And your body believes it's safer that way. Now, I'd love for you to reflect for a moment. Can you think of one recent moment where you hesitated to speak your truth, even though part of you wanted to? Now, it might be something big or something very small. Just simply noticing it without judging yourself is your first step to understanding your fear of visibility. Because awareness isn't pressure, awareness is power. It allows you to see the pattern instead of letting the pattern silently dictate your life. So in the next part, I'm going to share a moment from my own journey. And it was a time when I realized I wasn't just staying quiet, I was disappearing. and how that moment became a turning point in my healing journey. There was a time when I showed up for everything, every responsibility, every deadline, every person who needed me, but I wasn't showing up as me. On the outside, it looked like I had it together. I smiled, I performed, I did what was expected. But inside, I felt like I was watching myself live someone else's life. Because every time I even thought about expressing something real, a need, a boundary, an opinion, a truth, I felt that familiar tightening in my chest. That quiet whisper, be careful, stay small, don't draw attention. You're safer that way. And it wasn't that I didn't have a voice. I had just learned that using it came with consequences. Now, people I trusted had shut me down. People I cared about dismissed and minimized me. And over time, I internalized a belief that being seen, really seen, was dangerous. So I dimmed myself. I softened my edges. I stayed agreeable, quiet, easy. Not because that was my truth, but because my body believed it was safer. And then there came a moment I will never forget. I was standing in a room full of people, people who knew me, people who liked me, and yet I felt completely invisible, not because they ignored me, but because I had made myself disappear. I remember going home that night and finally asking myself, am I hiding because I want to, or because I'm afraid not to? And that question became a turning point because it showed me something I hadn't realized. I wasn't protecting myself anymore. I was imprisoning myself. And the version of me that had once stayed quiet to survive was now the version that was keeping me small. That moment didn't shame me, it woke me up. It helped me see that healing didn't mean forcing myself into visibility. It meant slowly rebuilding the safety I needed to be myself again. And that's what I want to explore with you next. Why visibility feels like vulnerability, and how you can begin to feel safe showing up as you again. So here's something most trauma survivors never get told. Visibility and vulnerability are deeply connected, especially when you've been hurt. To the nervous system, being seen is not neutral. It's a moment of exposure, a moment where someone else could judge you, react to you, reject you, invalidate you, or simply misunderstand you. So if you grew up in a home where expressing yourself wasn't safe, or you were punished for being outspoken, or silenced when you tried to share your truth, your body learned a very painful lesson. It's safer to hide than to risk being hurt again. And here's where trauma makes everything more complicated. Your mind might know that not everyone is dangerous anymore, but your body remembers the times when vulnerability cost you something. Vulnerability isn't just emotional, it's physiological. When you reveal something true, your nervous system opens. And if that opening was once met with criticism, abandonment, or harm, your body will instinctively try to protect that opening in the future. That protection often looks like staying quiet, shrinking your personality, laughing things off, avoiding attention, being agreeable, hiding your deeper emotions, playing small even when you want to expand. Your body isn't sabotaging you, it's shielding you. But here's the truth that begins to change everything. You don't heal by forcing yourself to be fully visible all at once. You heal by creating moments of safe visibility, moments where your nervous system learns, I can be seen and still be safe. This is where transformation begins. Not from performing, not from pushing, not from overexposing yourself, but from slowly rebuilding your internal sense of safety So visibility doesn't feel like exposure anymore, and it feels like authenticity. And I want to help you take that first step today. In the next part, we'll walk through a gentle practice that helps you reconnect with the safety of being seen, not by everyone, but by someone who feels safe to you, including yourself. So let's try something gentle together, and that's something that helps your body feel the possibility of safe visibility without overwhelm, without pressure. Now, I call it the safe witness practice. And you don't have to close your eyes unless that feels comfortable, but just soften your shoulders and then release your jaw and settle into your seat a little more. Now breathe in and then breathe out. Do all that nice and easy. And then place your hand over your heart, or you can rest it somewhere that feels grounding. Feel the warmth of your own touch. And I want you to picture one person in your life, past or present, who feels safe. Someone who listens, someone who doesn't interrupt, someone who doesn't judge, someone who holds space for you, even in small ways. If someone doesn't come to mind, that's okay. You can imagine a version of you who is kind, steady, and present. You can borrow your own future self as the safe person. Now imagine sharing one small truth with this safe witness, not your deepest wound, not your biggest fear, just a simple truth that feels honest. Something like, I'm tired. I need a break. I feel overwhelmed. I want to be myself. See them receiving your truth with softness. No shock, no judgment, just presence, just understanding. And let your nervous system feel what it's like to be witnessed, not evaluated, not corrected, not dismissed, but gently seen. And then notice any sensations that might arise, a softening in your chest, a loosening in your throat, or even a wave of emotion. All of that is welcome. And this is a safe witness. And every time you imagine or experience someone meeting you with this kind of presence, your nervous system learns a new story. Being seen can be safe. You don't have to rush it. You don't have to share everything at once. Healing your visibility begins with moments like this, tiny, honest truths held with care. And to help you deepen that awareness, I want to give you a journaling prompt next. Something that helps you understand where you still hide and why. Gently, without pushing yourself too far. Now that we've created a moment of safe visibility together, I want to invite you into a deeper, more personal reflection. Not to pressure yourself, not to fix anything, just to notice what your heart has been carrying quietly. So here's your journaling prompt for today. Where in my life do I still hide parts of myself to feel safe? So let me repeat that again so you can write it down. Where in my life do I still hide parts of myself to feel safe? And then take your time with this. You don't need to produce a breakthrough or force anything to surface. Just gently explore. Where do you soften your voice? Where do you minimize your truth? Where do you shrink to avoid conflict or judgment? Where do you pretend you're fine because being real feels too vulnerable? And notice without judgment the places where hiding has become a habit of protection. This practice isn't about blame, it's about awareness. And awareness is exactly where transformation begins. When you name the places where you hide, you give yourself the power to choose something different, not all at once, but slowly, gently, safely. And if you'd like to support in exploring this more deeply, and in a space where you can show up exactly as you are, I'd love to share something with you next. If the session is touching your heart, if you're realizing how often you hide, soften, or shrink to feel safe, I want you to know something important. You don't have to unpack this alone, and you don't have to be ready to show everything at once. You just need a space where your truth is welcome and where your nervous system can exhale. That's exactly why I created the Healing Clarity session, and it's a free 30-minute heart-centered conversation designed to meet you gently, right where you are. And then during our time together, we'll move through 3 simple steps. So in step 1, it's called identify. You're going to identify where the fear of being seen still shows up in your life or relationships. And it might be your voice, your needs, your boundaries, your emotions, whatever your body is protecting most. Then in step 2, it's called uncover. This is what your nervous system is afraid exposure will cost you. Now, this isn't about digging up trauma. It's about understanding the belief, the memory, or the pattern that whispers, stay small, it's safer. And then in the final step, step 3, it's called discover. And one gentle, practical step that helps you feel safer showing up as yourself, not performing, not shrinking, not apologizing, just being you in a way that feels honest and safe. And I want you to hear this clearly. This is not a pressured call. It's not a sales pitch. It is a supportive, grounding moment where you get to be seen without judgment, perhaps for the first time in a long time. And you can schedule your free session using the link below. Healing doesn't begin with being ready to be seen by everyone. It begins with being willing to be seen in one safe space. Sometimes that one space changes everything. So when you're ready, go ahead and click the link and then reserve your spot in the call. And then let's take that healing step together. And before we close, I want to leave you with one final reminder to carry with you, something to help you move through your week with softness instead of self-protection. It's something simple, but it's powerful. You don't have to disappear to stay safe, and you don't have to shrink to belong, and you don't have to hide to be loved. The parts of you that feel fragile, the parts of you that you've learned to tuck away, the parts you're afraid someone might judge, those are the parts that need your compassion the most. Being seen is not about exposure, it's about allowing yourself to exist without apology. If today's message resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel at Janine Naus, where you'll find all my healing step sessions, especially if you want a space where emotional safety and nervous system support come first. And if this topic spoke to you deeply, you'll want to watch my video, Saying Yes to Yourself, Trauma Healing and PTSD Recovery Support. Now, it's the perfect follow-up if you've spent years putting yourself second, or if you're being visible feels like too big of a leap right now. You can watch it right here. I'll pop the link and down below here. And as you do, I'd like for you to remember this. You're not too much. You're not too sensitive. You're not wrong for wanting to be seen.